Thank you very much for being here. I'm Christophe Milin at EASME. EASME is the agency in charge of the energy efficiency part of the Horizon 2020 Energy Challenge. EASME is also in charge of the legacy of program Intelligent Energy Europe, in charge of the climate action part of Horizon 2020, as well as the LIFE program. If you want more information on what we do, you have the information at the stand just next door in the room next door. You can also find information at the entrance of the room where you have information on the next call for proposals, focusing on the topic on energy efficiency financing. You also have information on the webinar we are organizing next week targeting home renovation. And also, to be mentioned, we're looking for experts to support our evaluation. So you also find information on how to join our pool of experts, very good experts, to support our assessment of proposal. So we will start this session with a joint presentation of two projects, Enershift and Lemon. We have with us Claudia Carani and Giuseppe Sorgente. Giuseppe Sorgente works at the Urban Development Department of the Liguria region in Italy. He is specialist in urban regeneration, expert in bioarchitecture. He is also the reference for social housing planning, and it will present the Enershift project, targeting investment in energy efficiency in social housing. We also have with us Claudia Carani, who is a senior expert at IES, which is the energy agency of Modena. She works on financing mechanism for energy efficiency in buildings, on EPC energy performance contract tender development. She also works on sustainable mobility and sustainable energy planning, and she is the project manager for several European project. We can mention the MLEI PDA project called MARTE, which target investment in the health sector. Also the Elena EIB Modena project, which targets EPC tender in public buildings and lighting in the province of Modena. And today she will present the Lemon PDA project, targeting investment also in social housing. So I leave the room to Giuseppe Sorgente for Region Liguria for 15 minutes on the Enershift project. Thank you very much.
Okay, good morning. Hi. And welcome to everyone. Thank you, Milian, for the hospitality and for the presentation. I'm grateful for this opportunity to present Enershift project that I'm managing since February 2016. And, well, my English is not very good and the time is very short, very short, 15 minutes. So excuse me if I read my speech. I think it's better for everyone. In this presentation, I'll go through what is the project and who are the partners, which are the objectives, which are the expected intervention and results, the project tender, that's the heart of the project, and its financial engineering, the problems we have had and their solution, and finally, which are the benefits for the tenants. What's project? Enershift is the acronym of Social Housing Innovative Financial Tender for Energy, and it sets to be funded by EU in Horizon 2020 with €1 million. It will last 36 months from February 2016 to January 2019. The project expects to improve the quality of social housing buildings in Liguria through energy retrofitting intervention and adopt an innovative financial scheme such as an energy performance contract. All of this in an innovative way, permitting a triple win approach among ESCOs, building owners and tenants. The aim of our work is launch of a tender reserved to the ESCOs. We expect to raise investment for about 50 million of euro and obtain energy saving for around 15%, with a payback time in 11-12 years. The beneficiaries are over 3,500 families living in 16 social housing buildings located in 14 municipalities in Liguria. What the partnership? The partnership is well structured because it puts together skilled personnel in political affairs, financial schemes, technical activities, and building management, coordinated by the regional department which I represent. My office also elaborates the final investment program and provides for replication and dissemination of the results. The tenders be launched by the Regional Procurement Office, who will take care of the contracts procedures and of eventual legal conflicts. The technical activities are managed by the Regional Energy Agency, named IRE, who has implemented the energy audits of all the buildings involved in the project and has created a global inventory with cost and energy performance monitoring indicators. More than that, Enershift involves all the 4 social housing operators of the region, named ARTE, which are the owners of the buildings and have the duly expertise to manage them. They are also the contract signatories with the ESCOs. Finally, and this is a really groundbreaking aspect of the project, the partnership with the regional tenants unions ensured to all families dialogue and support and active involvement in project activities. This is essential to promoting the success of the project. Indeed, sharing problems with tenants and spreading awareness and good practice are very important aspects to be considered for everyone who wants to replicate this kind of experience. In this and the following charts, on the left side, you can see some of the buildings involved in the project. They are located on the entire region and are the typical buildings of the 1960 and 1970. It's important to underline that the plan for energy retrofitting intervention is in charge of the ESCOs participating to the tender. They are free to adopt any technical strategy, but they have to reach the set goals you can see in the green boxes. Which are the goals that we want to achieve? Are overcome existing barriers to implementation APC in the social housing building sector and to the development of ESCO markets. Develop innovative financial schemes through public-private partnership and develop flexible contract models offering advanced energy service. All of this to boost the replication of the energy efficiency initiatives in social housing building at mass scale level. Then apply to the triple win approach in order to spread benefits among building owners, tenants and ESCO, while avoiding any cost to tenants. Improve the life quality of tenants and foster the cooperation between ESCOs and financial institutions to promote the bankability of the project. Well, this is the Enershift 3. You can see that it's a simple structure, and that's important for its replication, naturally. In the upper side of the scheme, there is the tender with the signatory ESCOs and social housing operators and beneficiaries, the tenants. In the lower side, we find the financial engineering, a mix of public and private resources necessary to reduce the level of the risk of the operation. Logically, this is the part which faces the most of the problems. Let's see what's happened in Enershift. We all know that the barriers to the ESCOT market are mainly financial. We have worked hardly to ensure the right resource balance, and many activities were successful, while others not so much. In particular, national funds was okay. At the moment, there is a great deal of money in the form of a supporting scheme for energy efficiency, renewable energy for heating and cooling, and white certificates. Also, private investment was okay. We created the National Stakeholders Platform to promote contact between ESCOs and third parties, banks, financial companies, national administration, trade association, etc. And the Regional Agency for the Economic Development finalized a special agreement addressed to banks willing to support ESCO. Lastly, we signed a memorandum of understanding with Investor Confidence Project, ECP, to apply their protocol within Enershift. It's a protocol for the certification of energy efficiency projects at technical and financial level. Also, regional law was okay. We have amended the regional law to permit the social housing operator to implement the APC model without the formal approval by the tenants. And in Italy, only 2 regions, Liguria and Marche, were able to overcome this barrier so far. About regional funds, we were able to obtain 5 million euros from the RDF funds to be spent in Enershift for financing the energy intervention with a long payback time, but we face several problems to use them. Usually we think that the problem is when we don't have money. In this case, the problem was how can use the money we have. In the scheme, you can see all the challenges that we went through. In short, our problems came from the existence of conflicts in the financial ruling framework of the funds and the delay of the activation of the planned financial instruments. The result is that we have to change our strategy because we were forced to split the original tender project into different procurement procedures. The first, the EPC tender. Last August, we launched the tender for a public service concession for the energy efficiency of 67 buildings with EPC model contract. The tender is European and reserved to the ESCOs. The total value of the concession is about 20 million euros, about 10 million without energy supply, split in 3 lots to promote also the participation of little companies. The biggest one is Genoa, then La Spezia, and then Savona and Imperia together. The smaller lots are designed to favor the small and medium enterprise local. As you've seen, the lifetimes of concession are not as short we wanted due to the absence of the RDF funds in the financial sustainability plan. The tender deadline was November the 15th. The RDF tender. Now the social housing operator are working to define the executive project for the procurement tenders for works. The refurbishment concerns 9 buildings to be deeply renovated through lighthouse intervention. The total value of the works will be about 5 million euros, split in 4 lots. The common elements with EPC tender are the energy audits and the modeling of intervention, including estimated cost. The EPC tender outcomes. The charts show the outcomes of the EPC tender. We are very satisfied for the interest of the big companies, but surprisingly, the small and medium enterprise got lost. To understand the reasons, we met the ESCOs and we found out that the tender structure and the financial conditions were too demanding for the local market. Hence, we are thinking of changing some terms of the call in order to publish a new tender as soon as possible concerning with the Enershift lifetimes. Maybe we might join the two lots, 2 and 3 lots together, open the participation or modify, get lighter some financial condition. We are decided in these days for the future. And at the beginning, I said that the primary beneficiaries are the tenants. In fact, the operation is meant for the sake of low-income people. Around 3,500 families have been involved so far. To this aim, we decided to implement the EPC shared sharing models. And we configured the tender so that savings are totally allocated to the tenants, as you can see in the right part of the scheme. And this is all. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions after the Claudia intervention.
So thank you very much, Giuseppe. If you agree, we will take all questions together at the end of the session, and we will continue with the Lemon project.
Where he is? It's not here. Sorry. Thanks very much for the invitation. I'm the coordinator of Lemon project. It's a H2020 PDA project that has been approved together with Enershift. So I would say in Italy they are twin projects, and they are stimulating and mobilizing investment in the social housing sector with different approaches. I would say that Enershift is more the approach of the region, so top-down. We are working more with the social housing companies to improve their role and also to innovate how they behave and accelerate the investment. Lemon is an acronym of less energy, more opportunities. Our final aim is to reduce the cost, the energy cost of the people that live in the social housing. We have some data related to the number of dwellings in Europe or the properties that belong to the social housing sector, and they are about the 11% of the total building stock, residential building stock. So it's a quite high percentage, and the fuel poverty is one of the major challenges in Europe. So what we are looking with Lemon is really to reduce the energy bills for the low-income families. We have some data related to the cost for the energy demand in the Emilia-Romagna region, which are between 600 and 2,500 euro per year. Is quite high according with the income of the family that lives there. And I also would like to mention who are the social housing companies in Italy. Because those organizations really are different in each country. In Italy, social housing companies are public economic entities. It means that they behave under the public law, and they use public procurement rules, but they have economic, fiscally they are private. So they are hybrid entities that are not really public, but not really private. And also they don't own the properties. So the local authorities own the properties. They have a contract with the local authorities for the management, for the maintenance, and for the refurbishment and retrofit of the dwellings. And also they manage the contract with the tenants, taking all the responsibility, the social responsibilities of the tenants. So they have a big challenge. For this service, they receive a yearly fee. and they have a contract that depends on the local authority. Sometimes the contract between the social housing company and the local authority dure 5 years, sometimes 15 years. So it's really hard to implement a retrofit program if they have a duration of the contract that dure 5 years. So this is something that we are trying to solve. And in the Lemon project, we are implementing a pilot experience in two provinces of the Emilia-Romagna. The provinces are Reggio Emilia and Parma. And the partners, of course, is an energy agency, which is the coordinator of the project. And then we have the two social housing companies, and also Aster, which is the consortium of the Emilia-Romagna engaged for the innovation and transfer of technology that is engaged for the communication, capacity building, and dissemination of the project. The Emilia-Romagna region is looking at our project with interest and really would like to replicate in other contexts of the region. The main purpose of Lemon is to change the approach of the social housing companies. Usually, social housing companies work on small project retrofit. So every time they get a grant from a structural fund or from a national incentive, they build a project and they implement the project in one building. So the tax of retrofit is really, really slow and low, and we have to accelerate this, and we want to move from this approach to a large investment program. This is the only way to attract investors. But it's not only move from one project to a large problem. We have to really to remove barriers which are not really technical. They're mostly administrative and financial. In order to do that, we engaged more than 600 dwellings located in 24 municipalities in the provinces of Parma and Reggio Emilia. And we are expecting more than 15 million of investment in those dwellings. And we would like to achieve the 40% of energy efficiency reduction. The financing scheme is really complex. What we asked to our social housing company is to improve their role. They have to move from their role of just provide a service for maintenance and refurbish the dwellings into a public ESCO. We will to become the main actor that guarantee the energy performance of the building. And this is a process that requires a lot of time because we are asking them to change mentality, and it's really complex. And in our financing scheme, we engaged, of course, the building and the dwelling owners. Most of the cases are the cities. I told you that they own the properties, but we have in some cases also private owners in the building, so mixed private-public, because in the last 30 years, social housing sectors decided to sell some of the dwellings in order to mix the social, to have a social mix inside the buildings, and reduce the probability to have a ghetto inside the building. So we have the beneficiary that are the building and the dwelling owners, but we have also the tenants. And how they are engaged in Lemon. After we have prepared the energy audits, the feasibility studies, the investment schemes, the beneficiaries, I would say the cities and the private owners, have to approve the investment scheme. It means for each city each town to deliberate, they approve the Lemon financing scheme, but also the energy performance we promised. And it means for the private they agree on co-finance the investment, and for the tenants, they have to sign a new agreement in which they we call it energy performance tenancy agreement, is a new contract that includes also the energy efficiency cost. So in some way the tenants will pay less than before the retrofit, but will pay back part of the investment to the social housing companies. The energy performance guarantee is on the social housing companies. They have the contract with the local authorities, they have the contract with the dwelling owners, and they have the contract with the tenants, but they don't have the capacity to realize the investment, so they need a partner, a technological partner, but also a financial partner, which is ESCO. So we have developed an EPC tender that is able to engage an ESCO that will co-finance the investment by the 30%. So the finance is structured in this way. 70% will be covered by the social housing companies that will take a loan. And this is the challenge of the project. There is not a loan for the social housing company. And the 30% will be co-financed by the ESCO. And the ACER will recover the investment in 15 years, using also the fiscal incentives and the grants received from the structural funds. And the ESCO will recover the investment with the energy saving. So the process we are undertaking is first to the preliminary phase that was realized through the energy audits, feasibility studies, the investment programs, and the approval of the investment program by the cities and the private citizen. And then there is the identification of the financial product to support the social housing company. This in our planning, we thought in 4 months we could achieve our result and subscribe the loan. It's taking more than 1 year to do that. And this affects all the project, because without a tax for interest defined, and without the number of years of the duration of the loan, we cannot finalize the investment program. And the city are not able to approve the investment program if they have not clear numbers. So, and also the EPC tender is affected by the lack of the identification of financing product. So, but we are finally finalizing this part, so I will provide you some feedback on that. And then we have the definition of the energy performance tenancy agreement. This is a politic, also needed politic support. The social housing company had to sign an agreement with the union of the tenants, and with the support of the region that modified the law, that the contract between the social housing and the tenants could be modified and increased, because it's not so easy. So we had to support this contract with many activities at politics and regional level. And then we have the communication, dissemination, and capacity building. Some data related to the feasibility studies. I go quite fast. Here you can see the average of energy consumption for square meter in the buildings we have analyzed. Another problem is that the 70% of the dwellings we engaged in the project have autonomous boilers. The ESCO do not like it. They like only centralized heating system, because they can make a profit on that, on selling the energy, but not on the autonomous boilers. So this is the reason why the social housing need to invest directly on the investment program. And this is the initial hypothesis of the investment program. We are looking at 15 million of investment, and we can say that half of that can be recovered by national incentives and grants from the structural funds. So, and you can see from the 3rd year, we can start to save about 200,000 euro. And you have the blue, that is the thermal, the energy consumption for the thermal energy, and then you have the maintenance in green, and the light blue is a VAT, and the third year you have the investment included. So, and this is the challenge of our project: the identification of the financial instrument to invest in the autonomous boilers. Because this is the tricky part of the project. We had to start with initial discussion with the banks to identify which were motivated in support our investment program. And then ACER, the social housing, discovered that under the public law, they had to tender the bank. They could not just choose. So we had to publish a competitive dialogue. And we were working on that and was published in the end of August. But the banks are not used to apply for a competitive dialogue tender, so nobody participated, we got desert. But then we were able to start the direct negotiation because the Italian law says that if you have desert tender, then you can start to have a direct negotiation. So now we are free. And we start to ask the assessment of the investment program to each bank, and it's really complicated because, for example, we apply for private funding for energy efficiency, but the social housing company is not really private, so this fund for the EIB finance private companies, and so we need to assess the company and as well. So it's taking a lot of time. Many findings in this. I think it's very interesting. It takes a lot of time, but I think it's really interesting. And 1 minute left. So there are some issues that are very important. The tax for interest. The municipality are not able to have an investment program with variable interest rate. This is what the bank can do. If you want a fixed rate, then you have to pay a lot to reduce, to have it. And this is a problem because we cannot have a variable rate. And but what is positive is that we found a bank that is interested to take the fiscal incentives of the social housing and provide the money back all immediately. So this is the tax reduction can be moved to the bank, and the 75% of the investment can be paid back from the bank directly to the social housing. And this is just a summary of the of what we have found. EEF, the duration of the loan is 18 years, but they supported only the 80% of the investment. They can provide a variable interest rate that we don't want. To have a fixed rate, they need the subscription of derivative security. In Italy, we had many problems with this kind of derivatives, and public authorities don't want it. The interest rate is medium, and they accept feasibility study. Private finance for energy efficiency, 5 years for a medium tax for interest rate. If you want 15 years, you pay a lot, really. It's not possible. I cannot say how much, but the interest rate is too high. And I don't understand. It comes at zero interest rate from the EIB, and then when it passes through the Italian banks, the interest rate increases a lot. And then they are able to approve each project singularly. So one building by building is impossible. We wanted to have a large investment program, and we have to fractionate. The last one is Cassa Depositi e Prestiti. Is the best one. They can provide a fixed rate, but since the social housing don't own the buildings, they want the guarantee from the local authority, and this is a problem. And they also so where are the banks? And also they don't accept feasibility study. They want the design of the investment or the measures. So We already have the PC tender prepared, but we cannot publish it until when we don't have the investment program finalized. But it is a energy supply based energy EPC contract. That's all.
Thank you very much. Sorry for pushing you a little bit at the end, but so we have time for a few questions. We will take the question either for the Enershift and for the Lemon project. When you ask your question, please introduce yourself, make very short question, and also say to whom you specifically target your question.
Hi, Victor Gancel, Climate Geek. So my question is for Claudia. What about the revision of the Eurostat note on use of private funds for retrofit interventions, energy efficiency interventions? And in line with the European Energy Efficiency Fund, do you see more in the foreseeing future? Do you see more engagement from the EEEF in building retrofit?
So regarding the EEEF, I think is really interesting if you leave all the investment to the ESCO. So, but what we are looking for is to find an aggregator of investment at local level that can be an actor in the investment program. But for example, we use the EEEF for the retrofit of the public lighting in Ferrara, in the city of Ferrara, and we are publishing the tender in the next 2 weeks, and it works perfectly. I mean, they provide you technical assistance, and then you publish the tender, and the ESCO take the money to the bank, and I think is a very interesting approach. But what we are looking now is a different business model that is based on the social housing, because sometimes, social housing companies, they have inside expertise, they have engineers, architects, they have procurement office, they have economists, so they have a lot of expertise and they can support the cities in the process. So we really would like them to be part of the investment program at regional level, and also to use better the structural funds, because for example in Emilia-Romagna the region published the tender for the retrofit of public building, but some towns, small towns, they had success, they got the money, but they are not able to use them, so they are not taking the grants from the structural funds, because they are not able to finalize the procurement process. And so the social housing company, we think, can improve their role and really support the cities, not only the social housing, but also in the retrofit of the other public buildings. Regarding the Eurostat note, I think they stimulate the public procurement project, and they define better how to combine the public and the private in the procurement. But I don't think it affect really Lemon project. So I don't know.
Thank you very much, first of all, to the two of you for an excellent set of presentations on social housing. I'm Brian Cassidy from Cork City Council, and I work in the social housing space. So I have two quick questions for Giuseppe. The first one is, did all tenants participate, and did you encounter any tenants who may not wish to participate in the project, and how did you deal with that? And the second one is, you mentioned a change in the law, and I didn't quite get what that was about, so perhaps you could repeat that. And question for Claudia. The energy performance guarantee, was the guarantee for the tenant, the lender, or the energy company, or all three?
Sorry, I didn't.
the energy performance guarantee, you mentioned an energy performance guarantee. Was that guarantee to the tenant? Was it to the lender, the bank? Or was it to the energy company? Or was it all three?
No, no, it's for the tenants. It's for the tenants, and of course also for the private owners, and also for the cities that have to co-finance the investment. So you invest, and I promise you that you will pay a fee for the next for the next 15 years. So I can recover part of my investment, but I promise you, you will pay less. So the responsibility is on the social housing company. Regarding the tenants, maybe we still have to meet them because we wanted to have we wanted to know which technology that we're going to install in the dwellings, because we promise we have to do that inside the project to organize capacity building program for the tenants. But we are also cooperating with the University of Bologna, which is working on social aspects in the social housing sector. So we are not, we didn't met them yet, but we will.
There was a question also on the modification on the law that was reached.
Okay, Mrs. Elisa Cascioli answer for my hands. She's the really pumping heart of Enershift, and she speaks English more than.
Hello, everybody. So about the change of the law, as my colleague said, we did it because in Italy it is not possible to apply the EPC contract without the agreement of the tenants, because our situation is slightly different from theirs, because our social housing operators in many cases are the owners also of the buildings. But what's the problem? With the EPC contract, as she said, you guarantee to the tenants to have a saving. So for example, you pay 100 euros usually, and then you have to pay 90. But if the social housing operator is signing the contract with the ESCO, it means that the money saving is going to the social housing operator and not directly to the tenant. So the social housing operator has to build all the tender, to make the projects, to put part of the investment, and cannot be recovered in any part by the side of the tenant. So what we did, we decided to skip the difficult part, that was to get the agreement of all the tenants, because we have 3,000 dwellings in the project, so it means 7,000 people. And so with the tenants union, which are part of the project, we decided from the beginning to have them inside the partnership, because they deal with the social aspect. They talk with the tenants. They made 50, 60 meetings with them, because the IPC scheme is difficult to be understood also from us that we work in the energy sector. So do you think if you are dealing with tenants who suffer from energy poverty, who have other kind of problems, and maybe they do not have any idea what is an ESCO or what is an IPC contract, so they had to explain house by house, building by building, what is going to happen. And so they agreed, the tenants union, to modify the law, because they understood that this was the only way to refurbish the houses without public funding. So that's the key. They did it already, and they were able to increase a little bit the rent from the tenants, and we decided not to do that. So this was our part of moving the energy saving and invest it again in the building refurbishment. And moreover, if we can, we hope that through our tenders, we will be able to guarantee to the tenants a money saving since the very beginning, because this is part of the awarding criteria of our tender. So we hope we will have a significant saving, or even a short part since the beginning for the tenants.
Thank you. Do you have a last question before we break for lunch?
Davide Canarozzi from Davide Cannarozzi, Frangini Finance. I would like to know if you can disclose the cost of financing that you receive from lenders or investors or financiers up to now, because that is a critical element in any financing process. And I was wondering if it can be publicly disclosed.
Now, I think I cannot answer 100% your question, because as you saw, the tender is closed from one lot, the biggest one, and we received 3 offers, but the awarding commission is to meet now, so in the details, I don't know. What we can say is that we, of course, have made all the energy audits of the buildings in order to set up an investment scheme. So it is about 12, 13 years, and we know how much is the fee to the ESCOs, but we preferred the ESCO itself to design the investment project, because she, the ESCO, has the knowledge to know how much is the investment and how long is the recovery, which benefits she can take from national guarantees, national funds, supporting fund, and so on. So more or less, we think that 12 millions of investments are needed to arrive to 45% of primary energy saving. That's what we draftly designed, but now we expect the ESCOs to present an investment plan. So the thing that 3 offered were presented to the lot means that this is possible from their side. So our investment design, which we drafted, was correct, more or less. And so that's what I hope I can, because I have no other information.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
We are in the same situation until when the tender is not published, and we don't have the feedback and.
But you had direct consultations, right?
With the bank, but then we have to publish an EPC tender to engage the private ESCO. The private ESCO will co-finance the investment by the 30%,
Yeah.
and also will have the role to maintain and measure the performance of the buildings during the contract.
But for the 70% that will be financed through lenders?
Yeah, but then the intervention will be made by the ESCO, but they will be paid for that.
Which is different from the 2 cases,
Yeah.
because in our side, all is paid by the ESCOs, and we have different financing mechanisms.
Okay. So, thank you very much. Thank you for being here, and thanks to our speaker again. We will break for lunch. Remind that the next session starts at 2 o'clock. Also, don't hesitate to visit the stands next door with information on the project, with information on the ASME activities, and have a good lunch.